Welcome everybody. Pokemon Champions is here. It is time. We are leading with the classical Infernape lead. For my first battle and first video for this game, I wanted to use only Pokemon that you could recruit or Pokemon in the game itself, including the Dragonite gift. If you're having trouble getting the Dragonite gift, I'll leave a short for that, along with another short for another gift you guys can get, so you can get a head start into being a Pokemon champion. Anyway, let's not waste too much time. Arcanine can't do a whole lot to Infernape at all, so Dragonite is a pretty safe switch in. Now, whatever the Arcanine goes for, of course, will break multi-scale, unless it goes for a move like Scary Face. Now, Pokemon that you recruit tend to have just random moves, but they do have sometimes max stats as well. And it's been found that actually it's pretty decent so far. Now, the game only came out yesterday, but for the very first day of playing it, I have not found a lot of people to have like super competitive Pokemon that have been transferred or anything like that. So we'll see how that continues to go as we continue. Anyways, I do a whole lot of damage with Dragonite, with the gift Dragonite, and then enough to just go ahead and go for an extreme speed and knock out the Arcanine. A lot of people, especially in this early game, are using the Dragonite gift, so it's very, very important that you keep your multi-scale intact for that type of situation. However, I will tell you, I've seen Swords Dance Charizard, not the Megas, but just the original, just enough to keep the fire resistance for Charizard Y, and also the Dragon neutrality so that it can knock it out with a +2 Outrage. Anyway, as my very first gift in the game, Corey is going to send me some freeze hacks on this Garchomp, because for a Stomping Tantrum, I'm not sure what he was predicting, as he definitely could have taken me out. There was no reason to swap an Infernape, predicting a Dragon Claw or Meowscarada. He had that locked in really, really well. But because he's frozen it now, I could go with my original plan with Meowscarada, which was one of my very first recruits, by the way, and also a personal favorite of mine, similar to Greninja. I'm going to go ahead and go for the guaranteed crit Flower Trick and take out the Garchomp. Guys, listen, the hate for this game is very, very mixed, and I realize the game just came out, and it's going to have some bugs here and there, so let's play it together and enjoy the game for what it is. Anyways, he goes into Absol, and I'm like really sweating bullets because the Ghost Fairy Absol would absolutely wreck and destroy me. I believe it actually outspeeds Meowscarada. You guys can leave that in the comment section down below, but because he is not, then he is not bulky enough to resist or take a guaranteed critical Flower Trick, and that is the end of Absol, as that Sucker Punch was pretty soft, as it was a neutral hit. And that's going to be the very first game. Let's jump into what game made the thumbnail, and let's talk about what Lycanroc Midnight did. Let's go ahead and jump into that fight. Alright, awesome Pokeballs here. And here we go, matchmaking in progress as we get into the second game for Ranked Battles Season M1. Alright, I don't know the name of my opponent, but let's take a look at this team. Rotom, Wash, Delphox, Arcaladon, Mimikyu, Dragonite, and Gengar. Potentially, we have 3 potential Megas here. Delphox, Gengar, and also Dragonite. Now, Dragonite's been really, really common thus far. Now, Mimikyu. I really, really want Talonflame for both Mimikyu and Dragonite in case they're Dragon Dancers, but also bulky Talonflame handles Gengar pretty respectively as well in the clutch, especially if I have full HP and use Gale Wings. I've also got Infernape for the lead. It can hit Mimikyu's Disguise. It can hit most Pokemon on his team. And Lycanroc is going to be the underdog rocking this competition. We're going to find out what he did and why he made the thumbnail. Let's get into it. Here we go. So my opponent is going to be leading with a Rotom Wash at that. And my first thought here with Ape is I was like, okay, I have Focus Sash, so I can 2-hit KO this thing with close combat regardless of it wants to do. So we're going to go ahead and do what Lead Ape does best back in the day and go for close combat. But unfortunately, my opponent is Choice Scarf, because it is the only way Rotom Wash is outspeeding Infernape. We do have that guaranteed Focus Sash though, so I'm going to go ahead and expend that and go ahead and go for a close combat. As you see, it does an absolute ton of damage, which tells me this Rotom is not defensive in any way and is fully offensive, most likely modest or timid. Now I'm thinking, okay, if he's going to miss his Hydro Pump, I'm going to go ahead and knock him out with a close combat, but my opponent does not miss, and Infernape goes down. Now looking at this, remember I have Talonflame in the back, and my logic behind this is I can't go to Talonflame, I can't swap in Talonflame, because even though I am really defensive, I would take a ton of damage from a modest, especially a modest Hydro Pump. And unlike Ape, Talonflame isn't holding a sash. So we're going to go out into our underdog, who is going to rock this competition with a Sucker Punch. I'm like, okay, 23%, I got Sucker Punch. Lycanroc has a really, especially Midnight form, has a really decent attack stat. And this is not defensive Rotom, so it does go down very handily. Very nice there. As my opponent now brings in the Mimikyu. Now I can execute my plan exactly the way I wanted to, where I can go into Talonflame, burn this thing, set up some bulk ups, and residually wear it down. Now I do not have Roost on this particular Talonflame that I've recruited. I have not found out yet how to change moves, so I'm just kind of using the recruited Pokemon for as beneficial as I can. I also apologize, this video was supposed to be out yesterday. I did the whole recording, and I have not recorded post commentary in Premiere and not on OBS in so long that for some reason when I commentate in OBS it sounds crystal clear, but then when I go over to Premiere and commentate in Premiere, the audio sounds super scratchy and buggy, almost like it has a radio frequency on top of it. But either way, this Mimikyu starts setting up. We've got the burn, so we're doing really good. We get up a couple bulk ups. The first one here, now we're at +1 defense, +1 attack. As you see, we take that Shadow Sneak and burned even without bulk ups. We take it pretty well. So we're going to go ahead and bulk up. Now, Talonflame, I believe, naturally outspeeds Mimikyu. But remember, Arc does not know his speed tiers, as you know. So since I don't know my speed tiers, I think Talonflame is a pretty respectably fast Pokemon. So we're going to go ahead and see if we do outspeed. And we see here the Mimikyu outspeeds with the taunt there, because Mimikyu does not have the Prankster. So now we're going to go ahead and go for that Brave Bird at +1 attack. It does, well, we don't know how much it's going to do. We're going to go ahead and break the disguise of the Mimikyu before we find out the actual damage. On the next turn, we can actually see if we can take this thing out. So he goes for, he has some leftover recovery there. The burn helps though, and 81% is where we're at. We're going to go for a +1 Brave Bird and see how we do. In comes a Shadow Sneak with our defenses bolstered. We only take 20 damage. And in comes this Brave Bird, ladies and gentlemen. And it clears Mimikyu off the field. Talonflame doing Talonflame things as it does. Now, it brings us down to 45. Now, we do have a bulkier Talonflame, but my opponent in the back has a Gengar. And my logic here, I was like, you know, this could be Mega. Then it's going to outspeed Talonflame. And then it's also going to be able to knock it out from this range regardless of what it goes for. And in the back, I just have Lycanroc Midnight. Guys, I don't know if you remember back in the day, but back in the day in X and Y, Talonflame's Gale Wings didn't have the nerf. The nerf that said, okay, you have to be at full HP. So in this situation, I would be able to go for an offensive +1 Brave Bird. But because we are not in X and Y and Kalos anymore, ladies and gentlemen, we get blasted by that Shadow Ball. We definitely take a lot of damage regardless of how bulky we are. We go down. So here comes my logic. I'm going to go to Lycanroc Midnight form. And I really just want to pause real quick because my logic here was, okay, I'm going to go ahead and go for the Rock Attack. Lycanroc has a really nice attack stat, and bulky Gengar, especially bulky Mega Gengar, is only a thing in my nightmares. So I'm going to go ahead and go for this Rock Slide and pray. It does so much damage. We do not get the flinch. We get the Quick Claw activation. But not only do we not have No-Guard, we have Vital Spirit, so we dodge a Hypnosis. And I'm thinking, okay, put that offense to the test. Do you have enough base physical attack to go with the Sucker Punch and to get Salt in the Wound? We get a second Quick Claw activation. However, neither one of those things matter because that offensive Stab Rock move, along with Sucker Punch, allows Lycanroc to take out Gengar. So Lycanroc did what? Man, I even had to take a screen capture of that. It was so pretty. Thank you guys so much. What a show. If you guys think Lycanroc did a great job and you like what he did, go ahead and leave that comment down below. Hit that like button and subscribe for more Pokemon Champions content. So, the last battle in this video, we talked about Talonflame shutting down Mimikyu. Now Talonflame has two jobs, Aegislash and Mimikyu. It doesn't have fire coverage, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. Also, if you don't know about Frostlass, then you're going to learn about Frostlass in this video. And I'm sitting here like, okay, I got Kingambit, Meowscarada, and Talonflame for both Mimikyu and Aegislash. I have this match in the bag without even a question. Let's get into it real quick. I apologize. I'm trying to take as much downtime out of the battles as I can. As we record more content with Pokemon Champions, I'll be sure to continue this trend. I'll continue to separate things like this so that I have full access to lower and upper the music plus sound effects alongside my voice. And I'll continue to try to make the best content for you guys for Pokemon Champions going forward. Alrighty, in comes Shiny Gengar. And I swear, I played a joke on myself because I'm thinking, okay, Meowscarada's got this in the bag. I was like, he's shiny. That means he's transfer. And you know what he could possibly have? Man, it would suck if he had Sludge Wave and that he was possibly Choice Scarf. But that's only a thing in my night. Oh, that actually happens. And I don't get to change types to Perdian. That means it's fully super effective, and I lose Meowscarada on turn 1, which was one of my best ways to deal with this entire team. But this Gengar is not done playing tricks on me yet. I go into Kingambit Supreme Overlord, which is so obvious that the blue-green moon itself would have seen itself coming. So I was like, okay, I need to go for Shadow Claw because Kowtow Cleave will kill him. And what does this man go for? The flippin' Destiny Bond. And because he is bonded with Destiny and we have Supreme Overlord, he doesn't have a Focus Sash. It easily takes out the Gengar without even trying, which means I now lose Kingambit as well. Oh my lord. And to rub salt in the wound doubly, I don't have fire coverage for what is one of the most broken Pokemon. I think Game Freak needs to understand one of the most broken Pokemon they've ever created. Mega Frostlass. Let's talk about it. 147 base special defense. Automatically sets up the snow. And as of Scarlet and Violet now, the snow gives a defense boost and Aurora Veil and 100% accurate blizzards. I'm sorry, the company called and they want their broken Pokemon back. Are you absolutely kidding me? That you are allowing a Pokemon that powerful? Like, look at this Brave Bird. With that defense boost, it doesn't even do half. I needed bulk ups to even touch this thing. And he just sets up Aurora Veil. So that means not only now do I get outsped, but also I just go for bulk up. Which, going for Brave Bird, it probably would have done like 20% damage, bringing it to 31. And I have Fire Flying, so I'm neutral to the Blizzard, which absolutely eviscerates Talonflame. Special defense, what? Also, I love how the weather effects show up on that little banner board in the back. That is one of the coolest quality of life features I have seen in a Pokemon game. So, back to back, like, the Lycanroc did so great, and then I guess Gengar got me back for what I did to him with Lycanroc. Alright, and you know, Talonflame deserves a heated redemption as well. Let's talk about this team. Steelix, Victory Bell, Hydreigon, Hawlucha, Manectric, and Armarouge. If you thought Talonflame didn't get a spotlight here in the last game, oh, it gets one this game. It might have even made the thumbnail of the video, honestly. As good as this Pokemon did in this next round. Guys, I'm curious. Do I need to put transitions in the middle of each match and just kind of like flow it better? I kind of like the flow to each team preview and we kind of go through it really quickly. we've got a lot of potential megas on this side of the board, and we got to be very, very, very careful. Also, I also hear through the grapevine that Hawlucha is absolutely broken right now in doubles, where it can mega give entrainment no guard to like other Pokemon with sheer cold that are fast. And that is crazy. Anyway, Infernape leads Armarouge. Now, if he has a Psychic move, Psychic or Psyshock or something like that, he could definitely go for it here. I think Talonflame is the bulkiest thing I have to deal with this. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and go for a U-turn. It does proc his weak armor, but because he's Psychic typing, he doesn't take U-turn all that well. And it's some really, really nice, delicious chip damage. You know how much chip damage it is? It is enough that Talonflame can comfortably come in here. And I didn't know what he was going to go for. He goes for a Flame Charge here. So he might not even have the Armor Cannon. As I said, when you recruit Pokemon in this game, they have random movesets. So you got to kind of decide how you want to recruit and what you want to bring to your team. I also did not want my first video of Pokemon Champions to be the starter team. I wanted to create my own team and kind of get some things going. Anyway, we take a Psyshock so well. Again, that's what bulky Talonflame will do for you. HP and special defense investment and things like that. We don't need defense investment because we have all that bulk plus Will-O-Wisp. And let's talk about Steelix. You know how well Steelix gets walled by Talonflame when it doesn't have a rock type attack? We get that Will-O-Wisp right off the bat. This potentially also could be Mega. Very, very potentially. In comes a high horsepower. Not sure what he's predicting. I guess he's predicting me to have Roost on my Talonflame, which I don't know how much high horsepower would have done, but burned high horsepower gives us the opportunity, even if we could Roost, to bulk up in this thing's face. And Heavy Slam looks amazing. I don't know why that move just looks so incredible, but we take it so well after bulk up and burn at 88%. Now, let's keep in mind, this is a freaking Steelix, ladies and gentlemen. A Steelix. And we do freaking, okay, 22%, about 25% after the burn. But the thing about this is he goes for another high horsepower, predicting us to Roost again, I would assume. And we're just racking up that burn damage. Remember, we did 22% last time. So what that means is we're going to go for a second bulk up here, ladies and gentlemen. And if we did 22%, we'd probably do like 25, 28%. Heavy Slam does bring us down to the red. However, after the burn, he's sitting at 54% of his health. Keep in mind, we have 2 bulk ups under our belt now. So let's see our Brave Bird go here from 54% all the way down to 24. There's that 30% I was talking about. That means with burn, we get over 30%. Rock Polish is too little too late. I don't think it would have mattered. I think he would have needed 2 of those to outspeed Talonflame. But with the burn, the Heavy Slam, we go for another Brave Bird, and this time, Talonflame takes out defensive Steelix with Brave Bird. Oh my god, it reminds me of the time where we just used to Brave Bird everything with Talonflame. So, that is that. And then, Talonflame is not done going on a tear, because I may not know my speed tiers, but Talonflame naturally outspeeds Hawlucha, and regular Hawlucha does not contain the bulk to take a Brave Bird. So down this thing goes. Interestingly enough, I think it probably had some kind of priority. I'm not sure if it gets it. Leave it in the comment section down below where it could have taken out Talonflame. But, like I said, Talonflame put in the finest of work. So great job, Talonflame. Great job. Like I said, I feel like it could have made the thumbnail. But I do have one more battle for you guys, and we're going to use it as kind of a time to update you more so than anything. It is still a battle, but it is a lot faster. Champions being a 3-on-3 singles, it is a lot faster format, so we do play games a lot quicker. And our final opponent has this team right here. We've got Azumarill. I do not want that thing belly drumming all over the place or setting up after Memento. So potentially Charizard, Azumarill, and Dragonite are all setups. And Zoroark to an extent, maybe like some nasty plot shenanigans after a Memento setup by Whimsicott. Alright, so let's get into it. So we do not want a fast Azumarill going around, or Whimsicott for that matter, setting up Memento and shenanigans to set up either one of those sweepers in the back. Alright, so Infernape leads off Azumarill. So it doesn't matter what this thing goes for in the key. It doesn't matter if it goes for Aqua Jet, if it's Banded, if it goes Drum, whatever the situation is. I do take whatever this thing wants to go for and go ahead and get U-turn damage on it. The goal here was to make sure that we could just get Meowscarada in and go for a Flower Trick and end this thing's entire existence. So I'm glad that Infernape still has some gas left in the tank to do something later on in the battle. Alright, so here we go. Flower Trick, Meowscarada, as we do, and Azumarill goes down. He also may want to swap out. Nope, he chooses to die to Protean. Guaranteed crit Flower Trick, and there goes that problem out of the way, regardless of what type of setup Azumarill this thing was. That thing goes down. Fantastic. Alright, so it doesn't matter. I feel like Whimsicott is back in the back somewhere. He goes into a Dragonite there. Now, let's keep in mind that I am a Grass type. Now, Meowscarada does not have a whole lot of base defense, but it becoming different types with Protean does help defensively sometimes. Like to stomach this Ice Beam right here, even though we do take super effective damage, we only take it by half. He does not get the gift from Corey of the Freeze, and we go for a taunt in case he's like a Dragon Dance setup. Then we go for a knockoff and go ahead and knock him out of multi-scale range, which is very, very important here, as we're going to go ahead and knock him down out of multi-scale, as we do lose Meowscarada. Thank you for your magic trick, Meowscarada. Magician never reveals his secrets. Now, gonna go out into Dragonite here. Infernape is definitely to a point that Extreme Speed would take us out. So my logic here is okay. It doesn't matter what he goes for. I've got my multi-scale. He does not. Even if he outspeeds me, knocks me out of multi-scale, as long as he doesn't freeze me, we're good. I don't think a Draco Meteor can knock me out from multi-scale range. I'm interested in that down in the comment section down below. If you think Draco Meteor could still knock me out from multi-scale, because that would make Dragonite significantly less good. However, his is not a multi-scale range, and he's super effective 4 times, super effective Ice Beam is enough to take it out, and since my Mega Ring activated first, it's either a speed type or I have a better speed nature on my Dragonite. In comes Charizard. Now, I have seen regular Charizard set up Swords Dance and absolutely eviscerate Dragonites, Charizard Y, Charizard X, and so on, so forth. I guess, I don't know, I guess Swords Dance Outrage is a thing. Let me know if you've ever used that set down in the comment section down below. I'd be interested to see Charizard X try it. However, not today. Draco Meteor, not today, takes out the Charizard from full health, and that is the end of our first competitive series for Pokemon Champions. Like I said, I'm going to see you sooner than you think with some more Pokemon Champions content, both the non-existent story and also the game continuing as we continue to recruit Pokemon and continue to enjoy the game for what it is. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you sooner than you think.